Welcome back to Ghost Powered Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we take another deep dive into Shudder. And real quick, before we get into this, if you could do me a favor and hit that like button, because that really does help this channel out so much. Happy Halloween, everyone! So with this weekend being Halloween, I thought what better platform than Shudder to do a deep dive into and give you guys 10 recommendations from. So that's exactly what I did. I came up with 10 recommendations that I think are awesome to watch for Halloween. And with that, let's get to the list. Kicking off this list, VHS 94.
Police, search warrant!
Police, search warrant!
Do not touch anything.
Could be no one left alive in here.
So VHS 94 is a recent Shudder release that just came out, and it is part of the VHS franchise. This one, in my opinion, is my favorite. Yes, the OG, the original, is amazing, but I appreciate this one even more. This one is a blast. And just like all the other VHS movies, this is a collection of short films, all put together by different filmmakers, all using the found footage motif. What is so cool about this one is the way they were able to make each one of these feel like they were actually taken from a real VHS found footage tape kind of thing. The way the artifacting is done and the lighting, just everything about them, it really feels like stuff from 94. So what's very cool about that is the fact that these are all kind of grainy, not the greatest looking film, right? Because they're found footage. But then there's these wild special effects that are done extremely well, some that are very gory and brutal, some that are just bizarre. But either way, they're done in a way that with this really low quality film, it just makes them feel even more real. So if you're not a fan of found footage, you probably want to enjoy these. But if you are like me and enjoy found footage movies, this is one of the better ones I've seen in a while. This is fantastic and a lot of fun. Next up, we go to Haunt.
This cannot be ignored.
So Haunt is one of my favorite Halloween movies. It's one that came out just a few years ago, but has quickly become on my must-watch list of horror movies to watch this time of year. Because it just has Halloween just oozing from it. It's amazing. And yet it's also just a very scary, fun little horror movie on top of all of that. The premise of it, if you're not familiar with it, is a group of friends go to a haunted house, this really cool looking haunted house they stumble across on Halloween, and they're like, hey, let's go check this out. The problem is when they go in, they start seeing these horrible things you'd see in a haunted house, but then they quickly start to realize that these things they're seeing are real and that they're actually in danger. And it just gets crazy, wild, horror, fun from there. But it gets very brutal. It has a lot of gore, just some very twisted scenes with awesome masks and great costume designs. It's just a very fun movie that I highly recommend.
Do you want to see my face?
Now we go to the Autopsy of Jane Doe. Autopsy of Jane Doe has been living on Netflix for a while, so you might have already checked it out. But if you haven't, this is one of the better horror movies that's been done in the last 5 years. I love this movie. It is very unique for a haunted house type of situation movie. It's got a very different way of doing that. It's not that retread that we seem to be seeing all the time. This did it in a very unique, different way. It's about a father and son who work at a morgue doing autopsies, and they come across this body, of course, named Jane Doe, meaning they don't know who this is.
What happened?
No ID, no fingerprints in the system. For now, she's a Jane Doe.
And just creepy, weird stuff starts happening, and it gets more and more wild and bizarre as the movie goes, with a really awesome ending. I just absolutely love this movie, and I highly recommend it. Next up, Halloween.
Halloween night. A small American town. 15 years ago.
So of course, I'm gonna put Halloween on the list because it is, in my opinion, one of, if not the greatest, Halloween time of year horror movies ever made. Honestly, it's one of the greatest horror movies ever made.
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
But what's even cooler is on Shudder, there's an episode of Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. And it is amazing. He just tells you all these fun behind the scenes facts, makes some hilarious jokes. It's just an absolutely entertaining companion piece to this great classic of a movie. So if you're like me and you watch Halloween every Halloween season and you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend watching it on Shudder with Joe Bob Briggs on The Last Drive-In.
Halloween. The night he came home.
Next up, Blood Vessel.
Know what I think is strange?
Who's the other one?
Hey, why don't we just throw overboard?
Enough!
All this fighting and shouting. No one comes to see.
So Blood Vessels is a Shudder original, and it's one that I really had a great time with. It's got a lot of a throwback to the 80s kind of feel about it, kind of an old school horror movie in that way. It deals with some crazy vampire goodness, but it does it in a very fun, practical way that I think if you're a fan of 80s movies and you like gore and blood and vampires, I think this is definitely a must watch. It's about a group of soldiers who come across a derelict ship in the middle of the ocean. They're not sure what's going on because it's just floating there. It's like a Nazi ship, so they're very unsure what's going on. But as they get on board, they start realizing that there's some crazy shit going on, and they discover vampires, and it just gets amazing from there.
Been killing monsters for years. Few more one head.
So if you've never seen this, I think it's a perfect movie to watch this time of year, and I definitely think you should check it out. Next up, Haunters.
Haunted houses are designed to make us laugh, to make us scream, and they make us feel like kids again.
So Haunters is a really fantastic little documentary that goes behind the scenes with these people that make crazy haunted house and decorate their houses into these amazing haunted houses and just all that kind of cool Halloween stuff.
What makes a great haunter is they're obsessed about it.
My wife sees Halloween essentially as a mistress that I cheat on her with.
What gets even cooler about it is it starts to go behind the scenes into some of these extreme haunts where these people are just crazy as fuck. It's just a lot of fun to go behind the scenes and hear some of the stories of these wild, extreme haunted house people and just people that love to decorate in general. I just really enjoy this documentary, and I think it's perfect for this time of year. Now we go to the cleansing hour.
In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, I command you to give me your name.
So this is another Shudder original, and it deals with possession, kind of like think of an exorcist situation where there's this priest who does exorcisms. But the truth is, this guy's a complete phony and just lies to everyone.
And cut. Nice job, everybody. Good job.
Until real stuff starts to go down, and it's just a lot of fun. It gets very dark, very twisted, very gory at times. Just a very cool little horror movie that if you've never checked it out, I think you would definitely have a blast with it. So I highly recommend you guys check this out. Next up, Vicious Fun.
Need a ride?
As far as I can.
Hop in.
So Vicious Fun is a great little horror movie about this guy who stumbles across this help meeting, like this AA style meeting, but it's for a group of serial killers where they get together and talk about serial killing.
Have you ever bitten into a kidney?
What is this, some kind of support group for serial killers?
Why are you here? It's complicated.
And why they've stopped, and you know, just to get help and support for each other. But it gets very funny in a very dark way. But this movie also has some creepy moments, scary moments, tense moments. It's just a really entertaining movie that almost no one I've heard of is talking about. So if you're looking for something that's an entertaining ride, that's funny, yet scary and gory at times, I think you should definitely check this out. Now we go to Boys from County Hell.
Some things are older than science, older than God. The earth has its own secrets, and if you get close enough, you'll hear it.
So this is another vampire movie, and this is also a Shudder original, but it goes to a very unique, different direction when it comes to vampires.
What about Some Night? I mean, that is the #1 vampire killer.
Burn, you bastard.
This has a very original spin and feel about it. It has more of like a legend, old world stories kind of feel. I just think this movie is so well done and such a great little flick.
Whose foot's that?
Fuck this, I'm out.
And it's amazing to me that more people don't talk about this movie. It's kind of the problem with Shudder originals in general, because unless you're a big fan of Shudder and watch all the originals, there's a good chance you're gonna miss these because they just don't get almost any publicity. You don't see them promoted at all. But this is one of those ones that is a small movie, but just bloody, fun, and just a really great little ride that I think you should definitely check out.
Oh, come on, like, what are we supposed to do about this?
And last up on this list is an absolute cult classic, and that is Nightbreed.
Somewhere, hidden from sight, closer than you might think, is a place that's not on any map. Midian.
So like I said, Nightbreed is an absolute cult classic, and it has all the great fun things, in my opinion, that I enjoy for this time of year in a movie.
They're not pretty. They're not neighborly.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
They're not even human.
It's got all these different monsters, all these great practical effects, fun characters, just the most unique looking mask and designs at times. It's Clive Barker, so of course it's a badass little movie. If for whatever reason you've never checked it out, then I think this should be the first one you watch from this list. But even if it's one you've seen a million times, this is still an absolutely great watch this time of year, and so I highly, highly recommend it.
I won't let you down. Nightbreed. At last, the night has a hero.
Outstanding.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for me today. Please leave your comments down below. Let me know which of these movies you plan to check out. I'd also love to know if there's any recommendations off of Shudder that I've missed that I should definitely be checking out. Also, if you could do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel. And when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this at least 2 times every week, I also want to give a massive, huge, enormous thank you to my patrons, because you guys, your support seriously means so much to me. And if you would like to find out more about becoming a patron, the link is down in the description. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, horror can be fun. I will see you guys next time.